Good morning, everyone. Jumping right into it today. Gonna just pick right up where we left off with the last one, shall we? So, at this point, Nick's mom had already left. He tried to kill me. I come back. We start having this conversation. Before my kids got brought back, we had an extension to that conversation. I took several days because it wasn't very long after that occurred that he had to leave. I think it was like for a week, could have been a month, probably to either, I think they called it something Lost in the Woods. Was it Camp Lost in the Woods or Fort Lost in the Woods? I don't know. Anyways, Leonard Wood, Fort Leonard Wood. He had to go there for something, and he was always back and forth to Death Valley, so it could have been one of those. Anyway, he was gone for a period of time, and I remember sitting in the kitchen in my bedroom, just trying to piece more together, trying to make sense of everything in my head, because before he left, he spent significant time telling me that I was saying these things before I did it to myself. Like, he was really gaslighting me into believing that I had tried to take my own life. But the whole thing, none of it ever sat right with me. And you would have thought, like, afterwards, knowing who he is, he would have loved to have told people that I was just this psychotic person. You would have thought that he would have spent so much time bragging to his family, rubbing it in my face. And he never did that with this. He never tried to make me feel bad about this. It was one of those things that just kind of, if I'm not brainwashing you into believing that you did this to yourself, then it's a non-topic of discussion. That was a huge flag for me. That was a big thing for me. That was like, bitch, this is fucking weird. Because at the time, I didn't have the memories of me sitting on my knees. I had a whole lot of nothing, but I would have nightmares, and I would wake up in sweats, and they were so vivid and so real. And, I would be sitting there on my bed, just replaying the nightmare, going over it, over and over it, and then going out to the fucking kitchen and Nancy Drewing the fuck out of the kitchen. I left those bloodstains on the fucking floor for forever. I left them there. And Nick refused. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't clean them up. And that's part of why I'm like, maybe the blood aspect of it made him squeamish, and maybe me leaving it there was like the statement of the blood evidence. Maybe that's why later he decided to go a different route, because he realized how easily that could be used against him. I never really thought about it quite like that until this fucking conversation. I love how these epiphany moments happen, and it just kind of fucking lines up. And it is starting to rain, so I might actually have to Oh no. I might have to pause this and pick it up later. We'll see if it gets too bad. Hopefully it doesn't. Um oh, it's going to. I can hear it getting worse. Okay, so we're going to stop here and I'll pick it up later, hopefully after the rain quits. Okay, so we have a break in the rain. Um Getting back into it. After I like Nancy drewed everything, I still didn't have my memories, so I was definitely suspicious. And maybe that's why my PTSD is so vivid, is because I spent periods of time in those rooms detailing every little thing in the fucking room. Um I'm I also want to say too, like, it's not just dreams that I would have. There would be, we could be out in public and he would say something a certain way, or he would take a certain tone of voice, or he would make a certain facial gesture, and it would like open a floodgate, and I would be immediately boom back in the memory, and it would just turn into, I don't know, I guess people say that I look like a doe in the headlights when I do it. I can't help it. It just sucks me in, and there I am, and it's starting to rain again, so give me a moment. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get like breaks in the actual rain, so I think I'm just gonna record when it's super light raining. It seems to be coming in spurts today. Um well, after he gets back from wherever the fuck he was at this time, I sat down with him and I was like, listen, if all of the stuff you are telling me is really who you are, and I asked him questions and we really spent time, I spent time evaluating him to see like if this was just him trying to tell me things to like exert some kind of control, or to see if this was legitimate, because I'm the kind of person that's like, question everything, don't take everything at face value. um it's just how I am. Do your own fucking research. And I wanted to really understand what I was dealing with. And I kind of played on, this is where the whole manipulating the manipulator kind of comes into play, because I asked him these questions so that I knew how to navigate him. And I played very much on the, you are ashamed because you got kicked out of the military the first time, or you bitched out, or however it went. I'm still not exactly sure what story is real. But you were shameful of that. You felt like your grandfather, this person you idolized, was going to look poorly on you from wherever he was at in the afterlife. And you wanted to be proud of yourself. You knew that you were this terrible thing, and you've been fighting with it your whole life, and now you want to not have to deal with that, because you're getting to a point where you're starting to act on it. So let me play the loving wife and try to navigate my way through this carefully. And he seemed to be open to that approach. So he was very honest. I'm sorry, they're cutting trees, so if you can hear the chainsaw in the background, my bad. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I don't know why they decided to do it in the rain, but hey, why the hell not, I guess. Anyway, he told me that it was very real. That all of these things that he wanted to do, specifically with women. And this was where he started like really opening up to me about how he had hurt animals and, you know, things of that nature. This is a point where I had asked him about what had occurred between him and Timmy, because Nick didn't tell me, and Timmy would only tell me limited things. So the sexual abuse was not something I was allowed to ask about at this point in time. That came later, much later, around the time that he let me in on that finally, when he showed me a woman getting beheaded and told me that that would be me. That's when that happened. But anyway, so I started watching different documentaries on serial killers and things like that, and the ones that I would gravitate to are the ones that where they would be honest about like the triggers, the things in their mind, what was going on in their head. You know, I was dealing with a very special individual, and the cops are funny because they don't give a fuck really if they haven't done anything yet, if there's no proof. So you're constantly on this mission to establish burden of proof while you sound like a crazy person because he hasn't actually done anything yet. I mean, yeah, he tried to kill me, but at that point in time, I did that to myself, remember? And it was such a weird dynamic to know that he half admitted it, and then to then also be like, no, bitch, you did that to yourself. It's such a conflict. You're constantly in a state of internal war. And I think that's why I took so much time with the blood sitting there on the kitchen floor, examining the scene, the crime scene. And that's what it was. I was assaulted. Do you know how long it has taken for me to say that? To admit, like, out loud, I was assaulted. It was a crime scene. And I left it there. And I left it there for myself. But I really feel like it scared him. I really feel like the day that I actually cleaned it up off of the floor was a sigh of relief for him. But there was this strange tension that day because I knew that something was weird about it, and I was satisfied that there was absolutely nothing else that I was going to garner from it. So for him, he was waiting for the confrontation to happen where I questioned him about my supposed evidence, and I never did. I never confronted him about that, but years later, he did fully admit that that's what he did. And he denied it to the fullest afterwards. It was the year that he tried to strangle me to death, and I escaped. See, there's a chain of events here. This is why it's important like it's important to get the raw data out there. That's why I'm not sugarcoating it. There are things that I'm holding back, probably not intentionally, but there's just the intricacies of it. There's no way that I could put on paper how I know he is this person. It would take years of explaining the minutia of the tedious intricacies that occur. It would just take forever. I don't think I could ever really fully explain it. And there's people out there that are like, oh, there's nobody out there that is this bad. Like, you're making this up. Oh, I wish that I had your life view. I wish I was naive enough that I didn't go through the things that I went through so that I too could see the world like you. Unfortunately, that's not the reality that we live in. We live in a very strange reality. And, sometimes I'll make references to society, but I guess really what I mean is humanity overall as a species. Like, we have spent thousands of years killing each other, mistreating each other, stomping all over each other, fighting with each other over our differences, screaming because we all need attention for our own uniqueness. And it creates all of this conflict. And for some reason, we're still fucking doing it. We haven't figured out how to live peacefully, coherently, cohesively, not coherently. Well, I guess it fits in some cases. But before I go off on a whole nother tangent, let me get back to the conversation. Since he told me all of these things, he was really open with me, very descriptive on the things that he wanted to do to people. And he didn't seem so much like... He has a fascination with knives, but I feel like he was conflicted during this conversation because of the experience with me. And I want to say that had I not reacted the way that I reacted, he very much likely would have continued with the next one with a blade. And he tested that again later, but he didn't cut me, he cut himself. And I want to say he was testing to see if it had the effect that he was looking for, while also trying to exert another gaslighting tactic when he tried to convince me that I did that to him. And those were behaviors, but he had to switch after that. And I know the fascination of like dismemberment is something that he was getting into. And we're getting some rain, so I'm going to pause here. Okay. So later on, when he was talking about dissolving me in barrels of acid, he was very clear that I would be hacked apart. But I don't think he wanted me actually alive during the dismemberment process. And I believe later that's why he chose poison. Maybe he thought like if I wasn't alive during the cutting process, then there would be less of a mess. and poisoning me and dissolving me into acid in barrels and leaving me out in the middle of the desert someplace while he's on his way to a fucking military training mission. Definitely was an escalation over time and a testing of him. He was using me to figure himself out. This is why I'm like his MO. I've seen it, and hearing serial killers talk and their viewpoint of things and how they escalated into it, it's pretty similar. And he's still out walking the streets, finding his next woman to victimize. And the wife who divorced him went running back to him. I don't imagine it'll last long, but it's usually what happens. This is the first time somebody's been dumb enough to marry him, but besides me, but they always run back to him. They'll have a big blowout, and then, surprisingly, though, she didn't contact me. I have her blocked, but she keeps trying to shove all of her exes into my lap by giving them my phone number. Funny how that works, doesn't it? Dumb people. Some people's children just never learn how to grow up. You're enjoying my sloppy seconds that I don't want anymore. I definitely don't need yours. I really don't. And I think it's both really ironic and really low of you to give previous victims the numbers of your failed relationships. Because usually when you scorn somebody, they open their mouths and they have a whole lot to say about you. Might want to think twice before you keep doing that dumb shit. Yes, there are still things that are occurring in my first world problems reality while I am trying to tell you about all of the things that have happened in the past. Because some people don't know how to just leave well enough alone. So, before I say any more about that, let's continue on, shall we? We came to an agreement after hashing this conversation out and spending days considering because I wasn't allowed to leave or he'd kill me, come after my kids, hurt them to make me come back. I had to help him maintain his image. Like I said, I started figuring him out so that I could navigate him through fucking life. And it's just the irony of all of this. I know I've said it before, sometimes it's hard not to fucking hate yourself. It's really hard not to fucking hate yourself. Really, really hard. because I really felt like, and I was young. I was so young, and I'm not trying to excuse it, because I know there's going to be people that are be like, well, you should have just left. The circumstances were delicate, and I felt like I did what I needed to do that was the best choice in that situation with the information that I had at the time. Being young and naive and already dealing with abuse, like, it's normalized. It's normalized. So when shit out of the ordinary occurs, you're already used to crazy psychotic things happening. That is your life. You just accept it. And we came to this agreement where I told him, I was like, all right, if I'm forced to be here, I'm not allowed to leave. I might as well make the best of it. So I want things out of this. Number one, you're not going to go off killing people. Now, I had already done the whole play on his shame by this point. Number one, you're not going to go off killing people. If you have that urge, you come to me, you talk to me about it, we figure out a way around it. That's not how you're going to fucking live your life. If you want to be somebody that you can be proud of, we need to come up with coping mechanisms so that you're not doing this. I suggest that therapy is something that you seek, but he wouldn't do therapy. It didn't matter how many times I tried to talk him into it. He would not do it. And I really don't think that even if he went, he would talk about this with anybody but me. I was the only one that was in on this secret now. And that was a very heavy secret, because to me it played on, I need to protect the world from him. I guess that's kind of how I felt like I was the only one that could do that. And if I didn't, then people would die. Okay, 2. You are not allowed to touch the children. If you touch the children, I will fucking kill you. You are... If you're going to do it, you better kill me first. Because I will kill you, and after I die, I will fucking haunt you. And he knew, he had already experienced for himself that I was connected to other shit, and motherfucker, I will haunt you. Go ahead. And number 3, he was not allowed to engage with other women without first telling me. Because I needed to protect them from him. So I would be the go-between for him and other women. He agreed to those things. And I believe that's all I asked for. And for a time, it worked. For a time, he was actively taking part in his own self-awareness. I told him that if he wanted to be somebody that was easier to be around, because he noticed how he was off-putting to people. So I would coach him through those situations. There would be times we would have signals, and he would stop what he was talking about. Or I'd give him a look. Probably better. I would always stand behind whoever he was speaking to so that he could see my face, so that I could be like, Maybe. Like, he didn't know how to be around people. And I feel like that was part of the whole, like, keeping his image together. Why he kept me so close to him all of the time whenever he would have to deal with a difficult situation. Like, he would bring me into it to some degree, and he would look to me to solve his problem. He wouldn't even fill out his own paperwork himself. He would have me do that. Like, there's all of these small, subtle little things, they make you feel like you're so useful, but at the same time, like, the only thing that they're doing to you is sucking you dry of everything. And I had to deal with the kind who also might be a fucking homicidal maniac. Like, and I keep saying might, but like, he told me these things, and it's, like I said, it's so hard to prove. It's so hard to prove without evidence. Well, the evidence, like, am I not living proof? This was my life. For a long time, this was my life. And I think we're going to end it on that note. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day. English. It's fucking hard, I'm telling you. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. Have a little bit of fun today. My day's gloomy, but I am going to take some time for some self-care today. It's necessary, and it's important, just like you are. So don't forget to take care of yourself. Keep trying. One day we'll get there.